This is Freedom Files, the untold story of how nations broke their chains. Argentina, 1816, the revolution that ignited South America, a continent under Spain. In the early 1800s, almost all of South America was under the control of a single empire, Spain. For centuries, the Spanish crown ruled land gold trade the people who lived there. The region now called Argentina was part of the viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata, a vast colonial territory stretching across Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and parts of Brazil. Spain controlled who could trade, who could travel, who could govern, who could speak. And the people, Creoles, mestizos, indigenous communities, freed Africans, were growing restless. Freedom lived in their hearts, but empire lived on their land. A spark called May Revolution, 1810. Everything changed in 1810. Why? Because across the ocean, Spain faced chaos. Napoleon invaded, the king was captured, and the Spanish government fell apart. For the colonies, this was the moment they had waited for. In Buenos Aires, the people gathered in the central square, the Plaza de Mayo. It became known as the May Revolution. On May 25, 1810, local leaders removed the Spanish viceroy and declared they would rule themselves until Spain restored legitimate authority. But secretly, they no longer cared about Spain, they wanted independence. The rise of San Martín, the liberator. Into this growing revolution stepped a legendary figure, José de San Martín, a soldier. A strategist, a man born in Argentina but trained in Europe. He returned home with a mission. South America must be free. But Spain's grip was strong, and the Andes Mountains, towering, frozen, deadly, stood between Argentina and the rest of the continent. San Martín created an army unlike any other. Farmers, gauchos, freed slaves, indigenous fighters, volunteers from Chile and Peru together. They prepared for the impossible. The crossing of the Andes, 1817, San Martín led his army on one of the most daring military operations in history, crossing the Andes. Imagine, ice-cold winds, cliffs sharper than knives, snowfields stretching endlessly, altitude-sickness soldiers carrying cannons on their backs. Many collapsed. Some froze, others fell from cliffs. But they kept moving, because freedom waited on the other side. When they descended into Chile, they shocked the Spanish forces and won the crucial Battle of Chacabuco. This victory lit the fire of liberation across the continent. The Declaration of Independence, 1816. On July 9, 1816, leaders from across the provinces gathered in Tucumán. Inside a modest house, now known as the Casa Histórica de Tucumán, they declared Argentina is independent. No king, no empire, no foreign rule. A new nation had been born. But the struggle was not complete. San Martín pushed onward, freeing Chile, then Peru, carrying the cause of liberation beyond Argentina's borders. He became known as the liberator of Southern America, the dream of a free continent. Argentina's struggle was bigger than itself. Its independence symbolized the beginning of the end for Spanish rule in South America. One by one, nations would rise. Chile, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador. The continent was waking up. Argentina's declaration was not just a national victory. It was a continental revolution. Moral of the story: freedom often begins in the minds of ordinary people who choose courage over comfort. Argentina teaches us the greatest mountains are crossed not by strength alone, but by a purpose that refuses to die.